Okay, so this is using Pro Tools to fake the sound of an 808 snare drum. And we're basing this on the data that we've gathered from Audacity. And this is the rationale about the fact that we're going to approach this additively. So here's an empty Pro Tools. And for this, we know that we need the two sine waves, 1, 2, and then we need a bunch of noise as well. Pardon me. The frequencies are 164 and 330. So if we go back to Pro Tools, I'm going to create a new auxiliary input plus 3 3 mono audio tracks, and this one is going to be 164 hertz sine wave. The next one is going to be a 330 hertz sine wave, and then the next one is going to be noise, actually white noise to be precise. Actually, I'll write that in there then. When we look at the mixer window, then we're going to put in a signal generator on this auxiliary.
What did you press to go to the other window?
That's Control and the plus equals sign.
Okay.
Goes between the two windows like that.
Cool.
So we're on a sine wave. I'm just going to make this a bit louder because I want to set it at minus 10 decibels. There we go, it's a bit louder. And I'll turn it down on the speakers like that. Now we know that I want to route this into these different tracks at different times. So I'm just going to mute that for a minute. And then these 3 tracks I'm going to send this out on a path called a bus. So we're going to go bus 1. And this track is going to receive its signal on bus 1. So is this one. And this one. This means that if I now want to go to this one, I can record enable this, set this to be 164 hertz sine wave, and record it into there. I want to record it just for 3 seconds would be enough, really. So I'm making sure I'm showing minutes and seconds up here. And I'm going to zoom in a little bit with my control and the bracket tool. And then I'm going to choose, not too far there. Oh yeah, I'm all right. And then I'm going to make sure that my grid shows seconds. And then I'm just going to select 3 seconds worth of time, like that. So, actually, select it there, like that. I should turn the grid on. I think that will make my selection easier. I was on slip, which meant I could select anywhere. If I go back to this, probably, yeah, I've got a more precise selection of 3 seconds. I mean, 3 is more than enough. Okay, so now, if I go back to the other screen, undo bypass, that's 164 hertz sine wave. And you can see it's going into that track now. If I was to mute this.
Sorry, where was the bypass?
There's a bypass there.
Yeah, okay, yep.
And then, or mute here. And you can see if I kill it there, it stops it going into that track. So if I hit 3 on the numerical keypad, it's recording that for 3 seconds. Okay. Right. Next up is that I'm going to go back to here, turn that off, and I'm going to set this one to record, and it wants 330. So if I now hit record here, I'm recording 330. And now I want white noise. Go back to here, turn that off and turn that on, hit 3, and I'm recording 3 seconds of white noise. There we go. So now I've finished with that, and I've just got these 3 different flavours all ready to go. I'm going to zoom in a bit on those, and if you play them all together, there they are, then they should have the three main components that I need for the snare drum sound. Just going to trim them up so they all start, make them bigger so they're easier to see. I'm going to trim them so that they all start with the curve going up like that. So I'm going to click on that where it crosses the center line, do Control E on the keypad, and that puts a cut in, so I can get rid of that. I'm just neatly trimming them really. Control E, and then select and cut that. No point trimming the noise, it's all random anyway. Put all those back to start. Excuse me. I'm just going to undo those because I think I trimmed them too aggressively. I thought I was at the start of the waveform, I wasn't. Here we go, this is a better place to trim. That one, Control E. This one here, Control E. Get rid of the random, and then push them back to the start. That's better, that's tidier now. Then, something I know from the research I did was that this one was at minus 35 dB loud, and this one's at minus 40, meaning that this one was approximately 5 decibels quieter than that one. So what the actual numbers were in the original I'm not overly bothered really, but I do care about the fact that this one is quieter than that one. So I'm going to put this one down by 5 decibels. So I'm going to pull the fader down until it says minus 5 dB here. That's close enough, minus 4.9, yeah. I don't know how loud this should be. I'll play with that as I go. I haven't made up my mind yet. So if we just get that, excuse me, that one there. Not behaving normally. There we go. Right, okay. Next up then is that I'm going to make these have sort of different characteristics so that they all come on, so I can shape the envelope at the beginning so that it comes on quite suddenly. If you have a look at the original waveform, we see that it comes on, you know, sort of pretty suddenly with everything all at once, and then some of them fade out over time at different periods. So what I'm going to do is go to the automation lines here. So I'm going to turn the grid on, and then I'm going to make the grid value really quite small, tens of milliseconds, because if you remember that we were looking at pretty fine, small amounts, and then zoom out a little bit, and you can see the lines every 10 milliseconds showing up here. See those faint lines?
Yep.
So let's just zoom out a bit more. Okay, yeah. And now I'm going to do the volume automation. I'll make each of these show me volume, like that. And then, actually I just realised I've sort of about to defeat something I've already done. But anyway, so I'm going to click a little point in and then push this up to go to 0 dB, or as close as I can get to it without spending forever. There we go. And this one needs to be 5 dB quieter than that. Let's just zoom in, make it a bit easier to see. So that's got to go to -5 again. There we go. And then this one has also got to come down all the way down to the bottom. And then that, I don't know how loud I want this yet. Anyway, let's have a listen to it. Okay, so that's what we got so far. Now, these sounds didn't last for awfully long, so from the beginning there to there was about 100 milliseconds from that selection there of how long those low frequencies last.
Yep.
So I'm going to sort of use that as my starting position. So if I go to show 100 milliseconds on the grid, it should make my life a bit easier. And then, there we go. And then I'm going to start to make these fade out after that point. So if I zoom out a bit more and then put it down like that, see whether that's what that's like. Okay, I think that my noise is probably quite loud at the beginning, but I think it dies really quickly. Again, if we look at this, this is up in the noise territory, the really high frequencies, and it's brightish, but only right at the very, very beginning. They don't last as long as this lot, for example. So I'm going to make that be really, really, really short. So I'm going to go back to a really small amount, like those 10 milliseconds is again. And I'm going to make it come down more or less immediately. Let's just see what that's like. Still doesn't sound very good yet. Oh, that's, I see why. Let's make my noise more prominent. Get that as loud as I can. Make it last a bit longer, perhaps. There we go. So we've got something that's beginning to sound more drum-like. I think that the ooh sound lasts too long, so I want to shorten that. So I'm going to put in some little automation points and start to bring it down sooner. That one doesn't last as long as that one, so make that go low sooner still. Let's have a listen to that. Yeah, beginning to sound a bit more drummy.
Yeah.
Make that, see what this be's like if it lasts a bit longer. Like that. Longer, let's see if I go longer still. Just going to make it a bit louder now because I'm getting into the detail. Not bad, is it, really? Let's get this down. Yep. Can make that even less prominent. I think that's getting a bit stronger now. And then and it's not perfect yet, but there's a bit more tweaking to do, but it's pretty good. It's landed in a reasonably good area quite quickly. But I do need to filter this white noise, if you remember. And I was undecided over what type of filtering to do, so I'm going to try both techniques. The easiest one first, which is low pass filtering. So if I turn that on and then make it quite aggressive with this slope and bring it down to, I said about 6K, so there we go, approximately. There we go. Without it, by the way.
That's massive difference.
And then with it again. Not bad, is it, really? The other technique I was curious about was if I did a bandpass filter. So I'd also have this one, also quite aggressive, but starting at about 1.5K. Approximately there. So I've just got these bunch of frequencies that survive. These I've got rid of. I don't know. What do you think? I think that's more realistic, like the real one. Without it. Personally, I prefer that one.
This one.
Yeah, because it sounds beefier.
Yeah.
But this one sounds more like the original.
Yeah.
Now, just before we finish the video, excuse me, let's just close that window for a minute. And if I zoom out, yeah, that's fine. I'm just going to import that original one, which I left in downloads. There it is. That one.
Mm-hmm.
There it is. So that's the real one. So ours, then theirs. Okay. I think the one I've just made lasts a bit too long. Again, I actually think our one is better than theirs. But nevertheless, we need to make it more like theirs, yeah? So I think I'm making ours last a bit too long. So if I bring that down, more silency. Yeah, not bad, is it? There we go.